Great pie, Rosie. I mean, really, really great pie. What, you sneaking in here from another diner? Have a nice day, Rosie.
Yeah, and don't take any wooden nickels.
Who'd be dumb enough to take wooden nickels?
Oh, people get fooled all the time.
Well, I'm just glad I'm not people.
Right, like you can't get fooled.
Nobody can fool me.
Yeah, anybody can fool you.
Oh, yeah? Go ahead and try.
Okay, shh, don't tell anybody how dumb he is.
Don't you tell anybody how...
Need I say more?
I wasn't ready.
You weren't ready not to be fooled?
That's right. Well, now I am ready.
Watch out, incoming!
You can't fool me twice.
Maurice! Maurice! Anybody want a flat maggot? Nah, I don't blame you. Okay, let's get this show on the road. Here is our first freaky story.
This is a true story. It happened to a friend of mine, Ollie. He was the kind of guy who knew exactly which wine to order with chopped liver, or how long your tie should be so it didn't get caught in your fly. Oh, the girls were pretty sweet on Ollie. Heads turned whenever he came down the street. Now, it just so happened that Ollie was between adventures, but female, that is, when Imelda struck. Now, by all accounts, Imelda was one of the classiest dishes in town. You might say she was the mayonnaise in the tuna sandwich of life. Ollie jumped in front of Imelda and he said, "Dinner, tonight, le frite français, 8 o'clock. Imelda paused, and then she smiled that smile she had, and down the street she strolled, not looking back even once. Ollie wanted everything to go right with the evening, so he figured to show up early at Le Frite Français, the fanciest restaurant in town. Ollie demanded the best table in the house, and fresh flowers, and a tablecloth. And are you ready for this? Clean cutlery! Oh, Ollie was starting to get up the nose of the maitre d', Max. You see, Max was also the owner, chef, and dishwasher at the Frite Français, and nobody ever went to bed hungry being nice to Max. But Ollie didn't know that. Ollie told him that tonight was a very special night for him, and a very special lady, and that tonight, business as usual just wasn't going to be good enough. Max was just going to have to do a little bit better. Max thought for a moment, and then very calmly, very serenely, very graciously told Ollie that he was a fool for not realising Ollie was a man of the world, a man for whom the best is just regular fare. If Ollie would allow him, he'd prepare something special to delight and amaze Ollie and his lady fair. Max whisked off the tablecloth, applied a fresh one, lit the candle stuck in the wine bottle, and produced a basket of breadsticks. Ollie smiled appreciatively as Max dashed into the kitchen. Just then, Imelda entered. Oh, she was a vision in parachute silk. Imelda looked around and recognised Ollie instantly. The breadsticks stuffed up his nose were a dead giveaway. She laughed at his little joke, hoping those weren't the only breadsticks at the table. Meanwhile, Max was busy dumping old dishwater, the grotty stuff from the sink drain, and some coffee grounds into his special soup. Yes, Max had something very special planned for his surly customer and his important date. Then he snorted and hacked and hawked up just the thing. He gobbed it right into the centre of the soup. A loogie the size of a matzo ball bobbed in the bowl. He took a twist of parsley for garnish and called for a waiter. Gleefully, he peered through the door of the kitchen, watching as Ollie and his young date enjoyed the first course. When he saw Ollie look up and wave to him, Max couldn't resist going over to enjoy the moment more completely. But if you thought Max was stunned when Ollie told him it was the best soup he'd ever tasted, you should have seen his face when Imelda looked up from a bowl and said, "Daddy, this soup is delicious!" This is a true story. It happened to a friend of mine, Ollie, and his father-in-law, Max, the ones who run that very successful restaurant. It's not just soup.
After that, can a you-know-who be far behind? Oh, no.
Oh, Larry.
Yeah?
You've got to try to fool me.
Oh, excuse me, this'll just take a second. Okay, Maurice, see if you can guess the number I'm thinking of.
Oh, okay, good one. Wait a minute. You can't fool me. There are a lot of numbers.
Oh, gee. Tell you what, I'll think of a number between 1 and 10.
Think.
I am thinking. Not everybody has to close their eyes to think, you know.
Really?
Yep. Thought of a number. Go on. Wrong.
Oh.
Here's another even freakier story, and that's the truth.
9.
Wrong.
6.
Wrong.
4.
It's a true story. It happened to a friend of mine, Oscar, a baggage handler who didn't have many friends. Not just because nobody likes the way the baggage handlers handle baggage, but also when something went wrong, Oscar would become a basket case. But the story actually started with Emily, this nice lady who had a St. Bernard named Mozart, a very appropriate name since both the dog and the composer were dead. It was a sad day when Mozart passed on to the big fire hydrant in the sky. Emily decided to bury Mozart in the old family plot back home, way across the country. So she put him in an airline doggy shipping container, sent it off with the baggage, and she boarded the plane. Now, Oscar was doing what he always did, which was tossing luggage around. But when the doggy container containing one dead St. Bernard came down the conveyor belt, Oscar didn't toss quite far enough. The container fell short, crashing to the floor. Oscar panicked. The other baggage handlers huddled around the container, thinking that Oscar killed the dog. So the baggage handlers made up some fake problem to delay the plane from taking off, to give Oscar time to replace the dead dog. But where do you get a St. Bernard? Oscar unhooked the car from the front of the baggage tram, raced into town, and desperately searched for a live St. Bernard. Oscar ran up one street and down another. A poodle here, a terrier there, cocker spaniels everywhere, but not a St. Bernard in sight. Oscar tried the city pound, opening pens, desperately looking for a St. Bernard. Oscar was totally out of control. He tried to put a leash on a sheep, but it still looked like a sheep. Oscar was exhausted, out of ideas and out of luck. But then he spotted the little boy standing in a driveway, crying and holding on to a St. Bernard. It seems the boy's family was moving and he couldn't take the big old dog with him. A St. Bernard who looked just like the one Oscar had killed. Almost. The dog in the container had a black spot on his nose. The boy's dog didn't, but Oscar took the dog anyway. He picked up a black magic marker on the way to the airport and made the St. Bernard look just like Mozart. The dog, that is. And off flew Mozart II on his way to his new owner. The St. Bernard was sure going to be surprised. So would his new owner. Picture this. There was Emily with her sweet mom and dad. They were pretty sad, prepared to plant old dead Mozart. Then here came the doggy container. It was moving. Something inside was shuffling around. Emily opened the container and out leapt Mozart! Emily fainted dead away. Mom and Dad thought their daughter had gone bonkers, imagining poor Mozart was dead. And when Emily came to, she convinced herself Mozart dying was all a bad dream. What else could it have been? This is a true story. It happened to a friend of mine. And Emily is happy her Mozart is alive and looking better than ever, especially since his bath when the black mark on his nose disappeared.